feel, cause I know that it's something real. Gonna say how I feel, cause I know that it's something real. Hey, hey. Gonna say how I feel, cause I know that it's something real.
Well, hi everybody. I looked up and it was, my little thing was flashing at me saying, click to go live. And I was like, oh my goodness, oh well. I had to grab my water and my earphones and everything. Welcome to Keeping It Real, episode 94. Wow, everybody, hi, I'm glad you're here. It is, there's a lot of things that happened today. And I had planned this around the one book and actually two books. And then some things happened today that I'm going to bring in. And just kind of a continuation of the little documentary type theme aspect that I have for kids' books. But I'm going to say hi to everybody. Hi, Deidre. Yes, I did have a pretty wonderful Saturday. It was kind of laid back, although usually I have these kind of classes and stuff going on, and that keeps me on track, and that didn't happen today, so I kind of got lazy, which is okay. Hi, Gloria. Yay. And Angie's here. Oh my gosh, Nathan, I am so sorry. You're still feeling rotten. Oh, that's just the pits. Oh my goodness. Janice sends her, oh, that's right. She's on the Creators Tribe stream for Artist Haven. Yay. Awesome. That's wonderful. Everybody's dancing and I bunked a troll. Good job. One troll down. Whack a troll. Oh, Kristen. Hi. Welcome. Gosh, it's been a while. Nice to have you here. Oh my gosh. Why do I have these little things showing up? Oh, I know. Oh, you're not seeing them. Phew. I've got little... I'm on the beta version of ecamm with some new things, so it's got little pop-ups for me to tell me what things have changed, and I'm like, I hope they're not seeing this. Oh well, I'll ignore them. But hi, Art Flow by Mo. Nice to have you here. Hey, good job. That's Mona. I'm glad that you're here. Excellent. Terrible storm, blizzard here. Eek, where are you, Kristen? I know that we are in here in the Northwest. It was a pretty mild, well, although there were small craft warnings out. There was out in front of my house. There was out on the Sound, on South Puget Sound. This morning there was a sailboat regatta, kind of like a race, about 30 sailboats running along. And about the time they were coming around the point was when they issued small craft warnings. And it was like, oh, okay. We went out for a walk. And then today, two eagles have decided that the tree out kind of right off the edge of the bluff in front of us that goes down to the beach have decided that that's where they're going to nest. So they've been battling with the crows today, which has been kind of fun to watch. So I got some footage of them coming in and flapping at each other. So it's not very far away. I just have to get my longer lens out. Two eagles walk into a bar. No way. And what do the crows do? The crows get really irritated with the eagles around here, and they get really kind of aggressive toward them too. They'll swoop down at them, and it's pretty funny to watch. The eagles will put up with it. They'll be screeching and stuff like that, and they'll putting out two great big bald eagles, and then then they'll just pick up and glide out, and like seriously, and they're huge compared to the crows, but the crows just gather together and dive bomb at them and stuff. So who knows? Who knows? It'll be kind of fun. So I'm glad everybody's here. Horrible winds here again. Yeah, next week, the temperatures are not supposed to get above 39 or so, and it's supposed to drop into the 20s late into the evenings at night. So we're in for another little quick cold snap, which is always a lot of fun in this time of year. People have gotten, oh, look at, I could plant things, and then boom, it happens. So today is a day, like last night I read the book Ron's Big Mission about Ron McNair and what he did for himself to build his dreams as a child to get a library card when in 1959, when he walked into the library in South Carolina, he could look at the books there, but because he was black, he wasn't allowed to check them out. And as I talked about last night, in children's literature, oftentimes these semi-documentarian type books are what we use to present parts of our history in all around the world to kids to get an idea of it. And today is a day in our history that, quite frankly, is not a real proud day for the Americans. It's the day that Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9044, the Executive Order internment of Japanese Americans. And here in the Northwest, it is pretty common, actually quite common if you know anyone, have friends of Japanese American descent, to not have had their family significantly impacted by that. They lost homes, properties, farms, businesses. Their parents or their grandparents were interned and taken, and everything taken from them rather suddenly. And so today I was wanting some history perspective on this, because the two books that I have, I couldn't decide, and I finally I'm gonna go for both of them. They can say bye if they don't want to hear both of them, but they're both really cool books. But I noticed today I got on, and there was this from the White House, and it was from President Biden, and about February 19th, 80 years ago, when Franklin Roosevelt signed that, or 9066, and the things that happened. And this is a really interesting, I'm not going to read it. It was really interesting to see what it did is that, despite never being charged with a crime and without due process, Japanese Americans were forcibly removed from their homes and communities and incarcerated because of their heritage. Yeah, you'd think we would have learned. He said, "I've always believed that great nations do not ignore the most painful moments. They confront them with honesty, and in doing so, learn from them and grow stronger as a result." So he went on, and it wasn't until, so the national parks in the places that the internment camps are part of our national park system. And where was it? He said, "I therefore have proclaimed February 19th, 2022 as the Day of Remembrance of Japanese American Incarceration." And so it wasn't even recognized way until, I think it was Jimmy Carter that first recognized that it had been wrong, what we did, and started on the process of compensation to those families and apologies. What was it? There, I read this whole thing, and I was going to highlight it, but I didn't highlight it, because then I realized, where did it go? President Jimmy Carter to sign a law creating the Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians, and spurred President Ronald Reagan to sign the Civil Liberties Act of 1988, which provided monetary reparations to living survivors and an official apology to the Japanese American community. So it's because of that I knew that this was that day, and Bob was off with friends yesterday, and the wife of one of his friends that he's known since, who was in our wedding actually, her parents were impacted in such a way, and not, they weren't incarcerated. Her father worked actually within the government, but they had friends, and a lot of us I've met people over the years up here in the Northwest, particularly because it was felt that the West Coast was particularly at risk. Yeah, who knows? But so today I decided that I would read a couple of kids' books that bring that I have. One of them is new to me that I found in the library, and one I've had because the author was here from the Northwest and met him years ago, and I thought it was a particularly good book. So the first book that I'm going to read is called Baseball Saved Us. And this book, though, one of the things that we're going to look in this, because as you guys are artists, this is pretty fantastic. So the illustrator, Dom Lee, is from, let's see, he's from back east. He grew up in Seoul, South Korea, and he has a master's degree in illustration in the School of Visual Arts of New York City, and he lives in New Jersey. Now Ken Mochizuki was born and raised in Seattle. He's a writer, journalist, and an actor, and a strong interest in Asian American history. And during World War II, his parents were sent to the Minidoka internment camp in Idaho. This is his first picture book that he's done. But the illustrator, this book, he used an art form that I'm totally enamored with. He used encaustic. Different techniques to develop his encaustic wax technique, where he started by covering paper with a thick coat of melted wax, beeswax, and it came in different colors, and he mixes these to create an overall uniform tone, and then he applied colored underlay to the paper before he covered it with wax sometimes. It's just a totally amazing. I've seen encaustic artists work on photographs or on paintings, how he did it, and it came about, good grief, from way back in Rome, ancient Greece, and even Egypt. Around the Middle Ages, artists turned to tempera, fresco, and ultimately oil paint. Though encaustic painting was overshadowed by these simpler painting techniques, it was never completely abandoned. So he has the pictures of the things that he's done for this, for encaustic. Something that I think I'm going to try this summer. I've always wanted to take an encaustic class and find out more about that. Yeah, what do you think? Oh my gosh. So the book I'm going to read is called Baseball Saved Us. I'm going to check in with everybody in Iowa. Mona's in Iowa. Yeah. I'm in Maryland. It's never taught in school. Yeah, the internment camps. Yeah, not our. It really. There are so many bits about our heritage, and about what happened that did not make it into history books, did not make it into textbooks, did not make it into those type of things that were taught, and it makes me wonder why. Okay. Maybe because we deep down knew that it wasn't the best policy, perhaps. How he instilled, cheated Native Americans and all. It's just, like I said, you would think we would have learned, but this idea of I don't know. It's just, at least us here, as we make this journey on this, as we're reading things, we always come to the conclusion and realize that we can each make a little bit of difference, a little bit of kindness, a little bit of awareness, and speaking out when we see those things, and making sure that our voice is heard even to each other, and that we are conscious of our own surroundings and actions, and that we don't let things like that pass. So Encaustic is just, the first time I saw it was at the Edmonds art studio tour. And I just was like, oh my gosh. Okay, Deidre, if you've tried it, we're going to be talking back and forth because I'm probably going to make a mess of it, but I don't care. You know me, I don't care. I'll make a mess. Yes, Angie, unfortunately, history repeats itself. Okay. Baseball Saved Us is this one. And the other book I'm going to have to read too is called Write to Me. And it includes a librarian, so you'll know why I have to read them both. Okay, yes, Encaustic does have YouTube does have videos in Encaustic with lots of warning signs on them usually. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go. Baseball. I'm using a different camera. I had all kinds of things fall apart here. I rewired stuff, so at least I tested. Baseball Saved Us, written by Ken Mochizuki, illustrated by Dom Lee. To the Shepherd family, thanks for your interest in my first book. I got this from him in 1993. Lee and Low Books from New York. Oftentimes, Lee and Low Books was one of the early book publishers that took an interest in publishing multicultural books. And the author's note. In 1942, while the United States was at war with Japan, the U.S. Army moved all people of Japanese descent from the West Coast. They were sent to internment camps in the middle of American deserts up until 1945. The reason? The U.S. government said that was because it could not tell who might be loyal to Japan. None of these immigrants from Japan or their children who were American citizens were ever proven to be dangerous to America during World War II. In 1988, the U.S. government admitted that what it did was wrong. Yes, this is the Encaustic. He said he liked to use burnt umber and sienna and burnt sienna and those colors to create a darker brown and black. One day my dad looked out at the endless desert and decided then and there to build a baseball field. He said people needed something to do in camp. We weren't in a camp that was fun, like summer camp. Ours was in the middle of nowhere, and we were behind a barbed wire fence. Soldiers with guns made sure we stayed there, and the man in the tower saw everything we did, no matter where we were. As Dad began walking over the dry, cracked dirt, I asked him again why we were here. Because, he said, America is at war with Japan, and the government thinks that Japanese Americans can't be trusted. But it's wrong that we're here. We're Americans too. Then he made a mark in the dirt and mumbled something about where the infield bases should be. Back in school before camp, I was shorter and smaller than the rest of the kids. I was always the last to be picked for any team when we played games. Then a few months ago, it got even worse. The kids started calling me names, and nobody talked to me, even though I didn't do anything bad. At the same time, the radio kept talking about some far place away called Pearl Harbor. One day, Mom and Dad came to get me at school. Mom cried a lot because we had to move out of our house real fast, throwing away a lot of our stuff. A bus took us to a place where we had to live in horse stalls. We stayed there for a while until we came here. This camp wasn't anything like home. It was so hot in the daytime and so cold at night. Dust storms came and got sand in everything, and nobody could see a thing. We sometimes got caught outside, standing in line to eat or go to the bathroom. We had to use the bathroom with everybody else instead of one at a time like at home. We had to eat with everybody else too, but my big brother Teddy ate with his own friends. We lived with a lot of people in what they called barracks. The place was small and had no walls. Babies cried at night and kept us up. Back home, the older people were always busy working, but now all they did was sit or stand around. Once Dad asked Teddy to get him a cup of water. "Get it yourself," Teddy said. "What did you say?" Dad snapped back. The older men stood up and pointed at Teddy. "How dare you talk to your father like that?" one of them shouted. Teddy got up, kicked the crate he was sitting on, and walked away. I had never heard Teddy talk to Dad that way before. That's when Dad knew we needed baseball. We got shovels and started digging up the sagebrush in the big empty space near our barracks. The man in the tower watched us the whole time. Pretty soon, other grown-ups and their kids started to help. We didn't have anything we needed for baseball, but the grown-ups were pretty smart. They funneled water from irrigation ditches to flood what would become our baseball field. The water packed down the dust and made it hard. There weren't any trees, but they found wood to build the bleachers. Bats, balls, and gloves arrived in cloth sacks from friends back home. My mom and other moms took the covers off mattresses and used them to make uniforms. They looked almost like the real thing. I tried to play, but I wasn't that good. Dad said I just had to try a little harder. But I did know that playing baseball here was a little easier than back home. Most of the time, the kids were the same size as me. All the time I practiced, the man in the tower watched. He probably saw the other kids giving me a bad time and thought that I was no good. So I tried to be better because he was looking. Soon there were baseball games all the time. Grown-ups played and us kids played too. I played second base because my team said that that was the easiest. Whenever I was at bat, the infield of the other team started joking around and moved in real close. The catcher behind me and the crowd for the other team would say, "Easy out!" I usually grounded out. Sometimes I got a single. Then came one of our last games of the year to decide on the championship. It was the bottom of the ninth inning, and the other team was winning 3-2. One of our guys was on second, and there were 2 outs. 2 pitches, and I swung both times and missed. I could tell that our guy on second was begging me to at least get a base hit so somebody better could come up to bat. The crowd was getting loud. "You can do it! Strike out! No hit! No hit!" I glanced at the guardhouse behind the left field foul line and saw the man in the tower leaning on the rail with the blinding sun glinting off his sunglasses. He was always watching, always staring. It suddenly made me mad. I gripped the bat harder and took a couple of practice swings. I was going to hit the ball past the guardhouse even if it killed me. Everyone got quiet, and the pitcher threw. I stepped into my swing and pulled the bat around hard. I never heard a crack like that before. The ball went even farther than I expected. Against the hot desert sun, I could see the ball high in the air as I ran to first base. The ball went over the head of the left fielder. I dashed around the bases, knowing for sure that I would get tagged out. But I didn't care. running as fast as I could to home plate. I didn't even realize before that I'd crossed it. Before I knew it, I was up in the air on the shoulders of my teammates, and I looked at the tower, and the man, with a grin on his face, gave me a thumbs up sign. But it wasn't as if everything were fixed. Things were bad again when we got home from camp after the war. Nobody talked to us on the street, and nobody talked to me at school either. Most of my friends from camp didn't come back here. I had to eat lunch by myself. Then baseball season came. I was the smallest guy again, but playing baseball in camp had made me a lot better. The other guys saw that I was a pretty good player. They called me Shorty, but they smiled when they said it. By the time the first game came around, I felt almost like part of the team. Everyone was laughing and horsing around on the bus, but as soon as we got out there, it hit me. Nobody on my team or the other team or even anybody in the crowd looked like me. When we walked out onto the field, my hands were shaking. It felt like all these mean eyes were staring at me, wanting me to make mistakes. I dropped the ball that was thrown to me. I heard people in the crowd yelling, "Jap!" I hadn't heard that word since before I went to camp. It meant they hated me. My team came up to bat and I was up next. I looked down. I thought maybe I should pretend to be sick so I wouldn't have to finish the game, but I knew that would make things even worse because I would get picked on at school for being a chicken, and they would use the bad word too. Then it was my turn at bat. The crowd was screaming, "The jab's no good! Easy out!" I heard laughing. I swung twice and missed. The crowd roared each time I missed, drowning out my teammates who were saying, "Come on, Shorty, you can do it!" I stepped back to catch my breath. When I stepped back up to the plate, I looked at the pitcher. The sun glinted off his glasses as he stood on the mound, like that guard in the tower. We stared at each other. Then I blocked out the noise around me and got set. The pitcher wound up and threw. I swung and felt that solid whack again, and I could see the little ball in the air against the blue sky and puffy white clouds. It looked like it was going over the fence. And that's the end of Baseball Saved Us. Yeah, I know. Isn't that exactly how horrible for a child to have to feel that, or to feel that kind of hate in their heart? Oh, what's this? I love how, my books, I have a fair number. Now, write to me, the next one is not autographed. I picked this one up in the library, but library theme. What's that? I'll check them out at, art. That would be awesome if you did a video on encaustic. Simple, step by step. Yes. Sometimes it's really funny. When I watch videos, people with the tutorials, I wonder if they step back and look at them again themselves to see how it goes. And I know I tend to forget to do this sometimes. I did a tutorial on something on Canva, and I went back and looked at it and went, "Oh, seriously? You kind of skipped over steps." So now it's always a good idea to have somebody else look at it who doesn't know the subject, and they can see where where I skip over things because I know the material. Anyway, the artistration. I know that book is just it's a great story. So this next book is by Cynthia Grady, and it's illustrated by Amico Herrero. And I could not find really anything about the artist anywhere. And I could only find this about the author, and it's just a simple page. It has nothing to do. Doesn't say much. Oh, I got a camera in my head over there. It said that in the back of the book, though, it says that. Let's go to this. Cynthia Grady, while researching World War II, Cynthia Grady couldn't stop thinking about the Japanese American children who had written to Clara Breed from prison. Oh, it's giving it away. Book is the result. She holds a master's degree in children's literature, library studies, and liberal studies. She was the middle school librarian at Sidwell Friends School in Washington, D.C. for 14 years. And Amico Hiraro earned a degree in art history in her native Japan and later graduated from Rhode Island School of Design. Oh, that's no slouch. She has illustrated Tulip at the Bat, How the Fisherman Tricked the Genie, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and All Aboard. And she lives in Massachusetts. This book is based on a true story about a real person and about real kids, and it's pretty amazing. It's called Write to Me, Letters from Japanese American Children to the Librarian They Left Behind. And you can see some of it starts with these photographs. Families were allowed to bring only what they could carry, made to wear identification tags while traveling. Reading is food for the spirit and immeasurable. A quote by Clara E. Breed. Catherine Tasaki returned a stack of books and turned in her library card. "We've got to move soon," she said. "All Japanese, you know." Miss Breed did know. The U.S. government thought Catherine and all people of Japanese heritage living on the West Coast could be dangerous. They looked like the enemy of the United States in a complicated war halfway around the world, so the government ordered that they be imprisoned. Miss Breed gave Catherine a stamped addressed penny postcard in exchange for her library card. "Write to us," Miss Breed said. "We'll want to know where you are." At the train station, Miss Breed couldn't believe her eyes. Hundreds of families were tagged as if they were bundles of luggage. Soldiers with guns stood by. When the children saw their librarian, they ran to her with hugs and smiles as warm as the San Diego sun. Miss Breed gave away a bag full of books. She handed out more postcards. "When you have time, write to me. If you need anything, just write." The executive relocation order had come like a tidal wave, sweeping away everybody in the neighborhood. The library was a lonelier place. Then one day, Miss Breed found a penny postcard in her mailbox. Like shells tumbling through the tide, more postcards arrived. "Dear Miss Breed, thanks a million for coming down to the depot. Margaret Arakawa." "Dear Miss Breed, thank you again for the book. I enjoyed the book so much. Sincerely, Mitsu Himaka." "Dear Miss Breed, we all miss the library very much. Sincerely, Shizuki Kubo." The cards were postmarked from Arcadia, California. Now that Miss Breed knew where her friends were, she wrote every week. She sent boxes brimming with books and more stamped postcards. And the children wrote back. Dear Miss Breed, we live in a horse stable. Love, Anna. Dear Miss Breed, I was overwhelmed with joy to see the books when the postman opened the package for inspection. Thank you, Miss Breed. Thank you. Very sincerely yours, Louisa Ogawa. Dear Miss Breed, we have one large shower and one large laundry room. We certainly don't see how they expect over 16,000 people to be clean and also have their clothes clean. Yours truly, Fusa. One weekend, Miss Breed boarded a train to Arcadia. The guards didn't let her hug the children or even shake their hands. But they talked, and Miss Breed gave them more books. Dear Miss Breed, I shall never forget that day you visited us. Yours very sincerely, Louise Ogawa. Thousands of people moved to San Diego for wartime jobs. New children trickled into the library. Miss Breed was no longer lonely, but she still missed her old friends. Miss Breed wanted people across the country to know about the treatment of Japanese Americans on the West Coast. She wrote magazines and articles. She wrote letters asking for a library and a school for the imprisoned children. Miss Breed scoured newspapers, listened to the radio, and attended rallies to learn more about the war. Every night, Miss Breed checked her mailbox. Her friends had been transferred from the holding center in Arcadia to a prison camp in Poston, Arizona. Dear Miss Breed, we're now in a strange place. I doubt whether this is even on the map. By Jack Watanabe. Dear Miss Breed, many people here has mumps and measles. Loves, Elizabeth Kikachuki. Dear Miss Breed, Poston is so warm that I think of little black Sambo when the tigers ran around the tree so fast that they made butter out of themselves. If this weather keeps up, the Japanese in Poston will be butter. It is 120 degrees in the shades. Postonly yours, Margaret Ishino. The desert heat stunned them. Then came winter winds and rain, and people got sick. Miss Breed sent seeds for planting, thread for sewing, and soap for washing. She sent pipe cleaners, crepe paper, pencils, and glue for making crafts. Dear Miss Breed, the corsages are for you and your mother. They were made by Mrs. Oihi. The mum was made from lemon wrapping and crepe paper. Very truly yours, Tetsuko. The youngest children wrote to Miss Breed about what they saw around them. Dear Miss Breed, I have a kitten now, and it's the sweetest thing. I found him in the music class where we had an awful time trying to hide her from our teacher. Love, Catherine. The older children wrote about their living conditions and how they spent their days. Dear Miss Breed, yes, the food shortage has affected us. We have no butter or egg for about 2 months. Most sincerely, Louise. They wrote about beauty. They wrote about fear. They all waited for peace. Dear Miss Breed, books make the days shorter and happier for us. Sincerely yours, Florence and Margaret Ishino. Dear Miss Breed, I received your book the day after I came back from the hospital. It kept me from being lonesome. Yours truly, Elizabeth Kikuchi. Dear Miss Breed, yesterday I finished reading Lost Horizon. I was continually amazed by its similarity to this place called Poston. We really have a feeling of isolation here. This book would not have impressed me so strongly if I had read it a few years ago. Always, Fusa. Dear Miss Breed, when peace comes again to this world, should like very much to see the salmon going upstream. After reading Son of the Smoky Sea, I want to go more than ever. Most sincerely, Margaret Ishino. Finally, the war ended. As the Japanese Americans were released from each prison camp, they had to decide where to go. They no longer had homes or farms. Their shops, restaurants, and other businesses were gone. Some feared that they would not be welcomed back in their old neighborhoods. Some moved to other parts of the country for a fresh start. But others, like Catherine Tasaki, couldn't wait to come home. Home to San Diego and to their librarian. Home to their friend, Clara Breed. Dear Miss Breed, thank you ever so much for everything. Love, Catherine. And there, right there, is a picture that says so much. See that? Author's note. Clara Estelle Breed was a librarian for 42 years from 1928 to 1970. She was the children's librarian at the East Branch of San Diego County Library, which served many Japanese American families when the United States entered World War II. The Japanese Navy attacked the U.S. Pacific Fleet in Pearl Harbor, Honolulu, Hawaii, on December 7, 1941. Many Americans feared, incorrectly, that the U.S. citizens of Japanese descent might be a threat to national security. In February of 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, resulting in the relocation of Japanese. Goes on to say something. I'm going to take a sip of water. Anyway, it says much of the approximately 30 children corresponded with their librarian. Miss Breed's letters, books, and small gifts lifted their spirits during the 3 years that they were imprisoned in Poston, Arizona. Years later, when Miss Breed packed to move to a retirement home, she found the box of more than 250 letters and postcards that she received during the war. She gave them to Elizabeth Kikuchi Yamada, one of the children who had written to her, now all grown up. In 1991, Clara Breed was the honored guest at a reunion for Japanese Americans who had been imprisoned in Poston, Arizona. More than 700 people gave her a standing ovation for her kindness, friendship, love, and courage during the war. Miss Breed died in 1994. She was 88. Oh my goodness. And let's see, it says over here, the notable, when she retired, she died in her sleep. Dear Miss Breed, a video is produced by the Japanese American National Museum and the UCLA Asian American Studies Center in association with Alhambra School District. So that was in 2000. And in 2001 to 2005, an exhibition, Forwarding Address Required, featured letters written to her at the National Postal Museum in Washington, D.C. And in 2006, San Diego Library exhibits materials about Clara Breed to celebrate what would have been her 100th birthday. And it goes on to have all these amazing source notes. This is one of those books that so many things, the story sparks much interest with kids, and it has the stuff that they can go to. It has more details. It has this about here. It has real pictures and photo credits and more references that the kids could go and look at. It's just amazing. And then these pictures here are always the kind that my students would just be stunned at things like this. They would say, "Are those real?" And they would realize that they were, and it's amazing. Yes, isn't that cool that she was honored for her love of others and kindness? That's so, so that's why I had to read both books, because, this one, I mean, the baseball, what the kids did, what they did, how they worked through it all, and a child's working through it. But this also as a way of an example of how someone's willingness to step up and just do what they could within their own profession, even, or even their own spirit. I mean, my gosh, just to give a penny postcard. I think it's amazing. I love it. I just love it. So, yes. Yeah. They make, oh boy, that camera got in my head. It dropped down. Sorry, I'm going to scoot over here. Books like this, they do always have that way where they kind of will tug at our hearts in such a way that make us go, it's hard as adults sometimes to look at them, but for kids, when they see this, it's a way that they can get a glimpse into a part of the history and their heritage or what happened, and start to relate to it, because they can relate to the children in that area and the children during the time. It's why the book Diary of Anne Frank was always so popular, because it was about a child and those type of things. So those are a stepping point, and kids can find points of reference and points of connection, and where they take it from there is amazing when you let them go and expose them to this kind of things. But I just wanted to honor this day, the Day of Remembrance, in this format on this show, just as to highlight. It's something that, yes, it's a day of remembrance of something that happened that we as Americans are not proud of, but we can never, we can't forget and let things like this continue to keep happening. And so what we can do is what we can do. And I wanted to honor, like I said, honor this day and just honor these two great books that bring out a point of history and sometimes get hidden. And there's all those all over the place. And it'll be interesting in the future to see what children's books come out to talk about our current history and what's happening. And so, but everybody, if you have a chance to take a piece of paper to get ready for the next thing that we're going to do, if you have anything, I'm going to show you what, you don't have to do it right now, but I turned that camera all wackadoo and you're not going to be able to see. Let's see if it's there. There's my paper, sort of. Okay, so, because I'm going to, like I said, I'm doing this art thing, I'm planning it. There, it's kind of, there. So, if you take any piece of paper and you're going to make 3 circles, they don't have to be, in fact, they're best if they're not perfect. They just, of any size. And you can make as many as you want, but it's best to, I think, when you start out on a new thing, I'm going to do 3. Got my 3 circles. And I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do with it or anything like this. The only other thing you do with it is you make some lines to go through the circles in some way, however you want. And that's as far as I'm going to go with mine. So 3 circles, and then intersect the circles with some lines, and then stop. You can do it in pencil, you can do it in marker, whatever. And then we're going to hang on to it. And in a day or so, maybe in a couple days, I'm going to have an art activity to go with it. Yes, because I'm still learning this one. Like I said, you guys are sometimes my guinea pigs. No, this is what I used to do when I taught school. Sometimes when I'd come up and I'd find something new and I'd think, oh, this would be great fun. And, you know, I had a nanosecond to prepare the supplies and get it together and see if I could do it with a bunch of 6-year-olds. So you guys aren't much different than a bunch of 6-year-olds. So it's pretty good, right? Right. Okay, there's the camera back. So 3 circles, intersect with kind of curved or straight or whatever kind of line, intersect the circles, and we're going to go from there. But for that, fun. Yeah, Mona, I found it's this really kind of cool art activity, and I'm really excited to try it. And I tried it a little bit, and I loved it. And I was watching the thing, and I was like, oh, this would be great fun to do. Now I have to go back and look at it again because it's got a weird name that I can't really quite remember because I was too excited about it to pay attention. Sometimes a little bit ADHD here. Bing, bing, Ricochet Rabbit jumps in. But Gloria, I did remember Gloria's got her Facebook Live tomorrow at 4:30. You guys do not miss it. Anybody else got lives coming up? Put them in, and so or have dropped any recent videos that put them in the chat so we can celebrate them. Nathan, I hope you are feeling better. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, an eye-opening story. Just it's amazing how, you know, different type of things, how the sports, baseball, such a big thing for the kids at that place. But then there was another group of kids that was the books and the librarian, and they wouldn't have had those books if it hadn't been for her. And she wouldn't have known where they were even unless she'd given them a little penny postcard. Love penny postcards. Oh my goodness. That's a whole. You ever used to send postcards from camp? I did. I sent postcards to people from camp, and you'd get letters at camp. Oh my gosh, best thing ever. Yeah, amazing lady. Kindness. All right, you guys. It looks like ding, ding, ding. I'll try to catch that. Live show coming up on Wednesday, then group art collab on Saturday, all on Facebook. Mona, is it, do you have any times on those? Live show on Wednesday, and they're on I take it Art Flow by Mo is your Facebook page or your account? YouTube, not Facebook, sorry. So are they scheduled, or do you know the times? I'm getting to the point where I have more alerts on my phone for these than I have for anything else. Like, oh, well, sports really help divert. Yeah, sports is a big deal. Was always a thing that got my daughter through was swimming. She would get, when crazy, she would get in the pool and swim laps. And it helped to keep her focused. 10 a.m. on Wednesday, 3 p.m. on Saturday. Yay. Thank you, Mona. Thank you. Okay, you guys. It's that time to wrap up. It's been almost an hour. I started 3 minutes late, but it has been an hour, and you guys have been really wonderful as always. On this day of remembrance, I have to remember how fortunate I am to have walked into this community and have had you guys walk into my lives. And I think we need to remember that every little step, every little thing we do can make an impact in some way on someone. And I'm just working toward making sure that those every little steps that I do have a positive impact on someone. And that's why reading these stories and helping remember and looking back and seeing and honoring those type of things is important, and for our own awareness and for our own soul. So, as always, it's been an honor to come in here on Keeping It Real and to let me come into your homes and for you guys to come in to the live and enjoy the stories. Keep looking and stepping out into your wonderfulness and finding the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you, you guys, but you know the first place to look for it is look in your mirror, because it's all around you, but it's inside you first, and it shines in all of you. So until next time, you guys, take care.